Hi guys, my name is Yapo, and today I will be teaching you a little bit about the game we play called Poxnora. So Poxnora is a combination collectible card game slash turn-based strategy. As you can see, it drops me out on this big map with all these little points in the middle, and each player has what's called a shrine, kind of their home base. Here's mine, I'm the big tree thing, and here's my opponent, he's got the big frog. And in the middle are these things called fonts. Now, each base and each font that you control each turn generates your resource to deploy stuff called Nora, or mana, whatever you want to call it. This game loves to take normal concepts and give them a slightly different name to make it unique, I guess. I don't really know. But as you can see, all these three fonts are neutral right now. They say wild on them when you click on them. And you can see they have an area. Now, to capture him, we have to put one of our turn-based strategy guys and go stand in there. So I've got a couple of them up here. And one of the features you can do in this game is you can damage your health to get an extra card reveal. So, which is what most people do a couple times near the start, just to make sure that you get the cards you want early. So I'm going to go ahead and put this guy out. And as you can see, champs have a Nora cost, a name. This particular one's called Ranger Elite. The color around the picture indicates the rarity of the card. And then you've got some stats down here. You've got attack, or damage, speed, range, defense, and health. Damage is the amount of damage you do, clearly. If you attack another champion just with like a regular attack. Speed is the amount of AP you generate every turn, and AP in this game works a lot like AP in the original two Fallout games, where you generate a certain amount of AP, and movement and attacks and any other skills you might try and use take AP to use. Range is the range. It's pretty straightforward. Some will only have a one range. They can only hit next to them. If you hover over the attack button, it'll show you. Some have range up to 8 or 9 spaces away. Defense is just a straight up reduction from damage. So if an 11 damage guy were to hit a guy with 1 defense, it would only do 10 damage. Health is health. It's pretty much the same thing in every other game. And then you've got abilities down here. The big buttons on top are activated abilities, and all these little squares down here are passive abilities that this champion has. So I'm going to go ahead and end my turn here so my opponent can play. I roped one of our random goons that we play with into helping me show this off so I can beat up on him a little bit. And as you can see, our champion up here has now gone kind of see-through. It's because it has an ability called Hidden Vegetation, which means anytime it's standing on grass, which you can see all the grass around here, it turns invisible, which is actually really, really handy. Now, I do really like this game, and I like playing it a lot, but part of the problem with it is that it's a little newbie unfriendly. As you can see, all these abilities on one champ, and then this champ has an entirely different set of abilities, and it tends to be like that for almost all the champs in the game. Now, the new company that bought them out is trying to make it a little better as far as the abilities go, but it's still one of those holdovers that who knows how well it's going to actually work. So I'm going to go ahead and put another guy out here since I have the resources to do so. This one flies and has a much larger attack range, which you can see if I hover over here. And the little highlighted squares are what the attack range is. So as of right now, there's not a whole lot going on because I can't get to capture any of these things. So I'm just going to go ahead and end my turn again. Now, in addition to the champions that you can play on the field, there are other cards, which you can see up here. They have different color borders based on what they are. We have spells, which can either do damage or help protect you, or there's all sorts of different spells that you can use. You have relics, which are little buildings that you can put out that do different things for you. And you have equipment, which you can put on your guys or sometimes the other person's guys. It depends on which particular equipment you're using. Some actually do well either or, like you can put it on your guys to help them or put it on other guys to make them worse. So just some interesting things. So I'm going to go ahead and run this guy over here to capture this font so I start getting resources from it. The other advantage with capturing fonts is you'll see when I click on the building, I've got all this area that I can put down guys in. Well, once I take the font, I can put down my guys over here too. Well, it's not a whole lot closer. It helps a little bit as far as making sure you don't get rushed down. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep like it is for now. Some of these maps take a little bit of time before you can get into any action. As you can see, as soon as I ended my turn, it turned into this little tree thing, and it says it's mine now. The same thing will happen for him if he goes to one of these or the other. And there's some serious strategy with where you try and send your first guys and how fast they are and what abilities they have, as far as trying to take the middle before the other guy can do much about it. So he's going to play it safe here, where he can come fight me in the middle after he's got his resources secured. But as far as the newbie friendly thing, to put it in perspective for you, I liken it to Magic because it's the closest thing. This game has about 1,300 different champions, about 450 unique spells, and about 175 each relics and equipment. Magic the Gathering, if you don't count basic lands or the unglued or unhinged sets, because those are just crazy talk, has about 13,500 cards, so about 5 times the amount that Poxnora has. But you don't get this fun turn-based strategy part. Now you'll notice that I have a chess timer going, and it's not usual for this game to use a chess timer. Usually each turn only gets you 1 minute and 45 seconds to do whatever it is that you think you need to do. And so I actually set it to chess timer just for this game so I could have a little more time to talk about these guys before anything else happened. So I'm going to go ahead and put down a relic, the little building, and I'm going to throw it back here, because that way if he sneaks around he can't steal my font from me, because there'll be a building to keep him from taking it. Basically, if anything I own is in the font area, then my opponent can't take it, which should happen next turn because he's probably going to come and try and fight me. But this little building happens to give all of my guys extra HP and damage, so it's a pretty good one to just have around because it's also pretty cheap. And I'm just trying to figure out what he's up to. We have a guild chat. There is a goon guild. It's actually one of the biggest guilds in Poxnora, but it hasn't been fairly active lately, so we need to get some new people in there to help round it out. But a lot of the game is positioning yourself against your opponent and using your AP wisely, as well as your spells and other resources. Because you only get one resource pool from which to play both spells, or to which to play everything, and it generates based on your shrine and how many of these fonts you control. So he's moved his guys up a little bit here, and he's gonna do some damage to me here passively, because these guys both have passive damage abilities. Actually, all 3 of these guys have passive damage abilities, which is really a pain in the butt to deal with, but we'll see if I can't do something with it. I might be able to kill this guy. Let's see if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and use a spell here. And each spell, actually, it's fairly cool, has its own individual animation. It's part of the fun of this game. All of the champions have their own attack and idle animations as well, which is nice, I think. So this guy, the reason I'm specifically attacking him a bunch is he has a special ability that lets him regenerate fully at the end of every turn. So I have to kill him in one go or he's automatically back to full health. But as you can see, movement and attacks all take AP, and different guys have different attack animations and all this other stuff. So there we go, he's dead. Although you can see he left a little relic behind of his remains, and that particular group's gimmick is that every time they die they leave little relics, and if you don't kill those, your opponent can bring them back to life, basically, which really sucks. So that's what killing a champ kind of looks like. You can use a spell to soften him up and then just go in and punch him. Or there's all sorts of other crazy things you can do, but that's the gist of it. And your ultimate goal in this mode is to get to your opponent's shrine and destroy it. There are some gimmick decks that basically sneak to the shrine and put all sorts of resources into that. And there's all sorts of fun gimmick stuff, but I will tell you about that here in a second. because I am busy getting my ass kicked. So we'll head over to the rune. The rune is what they call the cards in this game, so we'll head over to the card list, and I will tell you about some of these factions and some of the cool stuff you might see. Go ahead and surrender this, and see you there.